Well, in the end, the run chase for India was quite a feast. It started with Shikhar Dhawan gobbling down the starters, and the main course split between Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, the captain and the captain in waiting, and then they left just about enough dessert for both Dinesh Karthik and Ambati Rayudu to make it a perfect run chase in the sense for India with enough deliveries to spare. It was always going to be a formality, but it was important for those two to get time out there in the middle, and they certainly did. Virat Kohli signing off with a half century before he takes a bit of a break. Well, on Cricbuzz Live, Zaheer Khan and Harsha Bhogle with me just to try and assess exactly where not just Team India stands, having won the series 3-0, but in terms of that one crucial batting slot, has either of them done enough to seal it? Gentlemen, we're not really talking about the victory being anything but a foregone conclusion, but Rayudu and Dinesh Karthik at the end finishing the job.
They got into an easy position. They were all set up for them when they came out to bat. But you still had to finish it, and they finished it in style. What, partnership of 77 in 12 overs, batting freely. At no point did they look threatened. And I got the feeling the match was over long before the match was over, because New Zealand started looking listless. They were playing really Trent Boult. There wasn't another bowler who was troubling them. And India just playing at a different level. India playing at a different level to New Zealand at the moment. We all thought this was going to be a close series, but it's been 3 one-sided games. India playing at a different level, largely, I think, because the bowling has been outstanding.
Is that what will New Zealand go back into the dressing room and tell themselves? Because it's important for them, yes, with an eye on 2019, but a bilateral series is a series.
Well, they've still not turned up. They're still finding their feet in the series, still figuring out what's going to work, what's not going to work, and still trying to find that confidence to play against the mighty Indians. I think from India's point of view, they've been very clinical. This has been a clinical performance, stuck to their processes, and like we've always been talking about, they've been ticking those boxes. We've been hearing great comments, in spite of scoring that 324 runs in the previous match. They were still talking about being 30 runs short than what they would have got from the position of strength. So these are the good things. These are the things which makes you feel that the team is hungry for success. They're not getting complacent. They're not getting relaxed. They're trying to push the bar higher and higher, and focusing on the processes and the strength of every individual in the team. So that's something which is heartening to see, and something which will go a long way, I think, in terms of gaining that momentum when you're talking about the big one mid-year.
It's not a bad one, is it? Kohli is going back. He's saying, "Ab tumhare hawale ye series sathiyo. Come on, take it." Not take it. I've done my thing. 3-0. Goodbye. I'm going back.
It's actually, Zach's done me a bit of a favor here, because when I had this whole little metaphor of the feast planned in my mind, I was going to end it by saying this is the result of that hunger for success, and just totally slipped my mind. So thank you for completing that, because that's exactly what it's proven to be, and it's a hunger that actually started in 2018. If you have a look at the results, and we talk about processes, it's a process that if you're leading up to the World Cup in 2019, that's not a bad set of results you'd want to look at. Yes, England was maybe a tough series. It was a hard-fought series, as were the test matches. But after that, the build-up has started, and it's been perfect preparation in a sense.
It's been, even England, 3 test series, three ODI series are okay. Even Australia, 3 ODI series. My gut feel is if that had gone to 5, India had a good chance of winning both those. Maybe England were just getting back the Australia, India would have won. Australia, complete disarray. But it's this series, 3-1 and the first one, against really good teams in away conditions. New Zealand are number 3 at the moment. I think Pakistan are playing far better than New Zealand, even though they are far below on the rankings. But beating South Africa 5-1 was a huge result. This 3-0, you're looking at world number 3 is not in the contest. They are, it's like anyone can go and score runs. And I'll still come back. I think this bowling is among the best limited overs bowling I've seen for a long time.
Yes, every time we talk about New Zealand's performance, and I did start by asking you what will they be saying in the dressing room. Well, one of the things that they should be saying is that we were outplayed by a far better side, because it's not that they just surrendered. They had on paper, they had a good side. They didn't play the worst cricket at times, but they just had a good bowling attack, outdoing them every single time. Not batted 50 overs on 3 occasions.
Yeah, exactly. So, they're looking lost, especially when they're batting. They don't have enough enough clarity of thought as well. When they are actually approaching this bowling lineup. We've seen it with today's dismissals as well. Early on there were soft dismissals. They're not able to get going. Just patchy performance is a clear sign of how the state of the mind of each and every individual in the side is. There were even the coach, for that matter, when he was talking that mid innings, he was also being conservative that you get to 260. But the question is, will 260 would have been enough to beat this side? The answer is no. So they're still finding their feet in the series, and that's going to be a big concern going forward, because when you're down, already lost the series, playing those last two matches, morale is going to be completely down. When you have not enough runs on board, your bowling is also not going to be effective. You've seen from all the three innings that bowlers have been trying their bowling their hearts out, but the results and the thought process and the defensive nature comes from the overall morale of the team. And that's the funny part about team sport. You just one thing, you need that spark. You saw that in one partnership today, where we felt, okay, maybe they'll be able to get to 300 also. We were talking about them finishing with 300 as well, and that would have probably made the series interesting. But I think from now, in the remaining two matches, New Zealand will have to find something to play for pride. That's something, the only thing a captain or a coach can say, that we are better than this. On paper, we are looking strong side. We got to play for pride.
I mean, look at on the same track, two sides are bowled. One side has made batting look difficult. You look at the dismissals of Munro and Guptill. You got the feeling they're saying, it's not working. Come, let's blast our way through. And both outplaying those expansive drives, which means the bowling is now getting into their heads. On the same track, one side has made batting look a little difficult, except, in that phase when Latham and Taylor were batting, it showed up the track for what it was. But at no point when India were batting, except for that one spell from Trent Bolt, at no point did batting look difficult. So on the same surface, one side is out-bowling the other.
And interestingly, yes, out-bowling, I mean, this is what you only had Trent Bolt as a standout bowler, 2 for 40. You had to use him in two spells far earlier than he would have liked, and he delivered for him. The problem is, nobody delivered from the other end. Big question mark about Santner and Sodhi, because the two spinners were expected to make a bit of an impact, but I guess you'll have to attribute it to the batsman not leaving them enough to play with. Because even if the coach was being conservative about that 260, 270, they didn't even reach there.
Yeah.
They didn't bat 50 overs from a point they could have got to 300.
Look at the results. I'm just pulling out the results. First game, 157, India win with 15 overs left. Second game, India 324 win with 10 overs left. And third game, they finally get to 243, still win with 7 overs left. 7 overs is a big margin. So I must confess, I thought it was going to be a tough series. I thought this would be a good series for India before the World Cup, but hasn't told India anything that they didn't already know. If anything, it's told them the bowling is probably a little better than they thought it was. But in terms of getting their 15 right for the World Cup, it hasn't told you anything you didn't know. So Raidu's done his chances no harm after today. Karthik has done his chances no harm. Shami is in right away, but I mean it's almost been too simple.
But just since you mentioned that those two dismissals, I heard Simon Dool talking about exactly that on air and using...
You're not suggesting I pinched his lines, eh?
No.
Okay.
Using Munro as an example, talking
Yes.
about the possible players who might be benched for the remaining games, and he said Munro on merit should be told that, okay, that was something naughty you did, because when you look at the Bhuvaneshwar Kumar delivery, it's probably not his best delivery that got him a wicket. It wasn't his typical movement that he gets, and yet it was just... that was Guptill, but Munro was to Shami out. But very
he'd been
similar.
dropped before. He'd been dropped before in the same over. So they are confused, and I think New Zealand have been fattened a little bit by an easy series before, and they've got a pattern saying we go out there, we make 350 and we win, and if they don't get 350, they then don't seem to be aware of how to win matches.
We did mention in terms of what would India's approach be to chase down a total like 244. Well, one word comes to mind, clinical, and that's exactly what they were. Of course, adding more records in the process. Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli getting to their 16th 100 partnership, and they're right up there with some of the best pairs in the world. They're just racking it up. There's many more to come.
And easy. And easy. I mean, it was just, at one point I thought both might get 100. So Rohit Sharma tried to hit a 6 and he got out. Virat Kohli was 6 inches away from that ball going for 4 as well. It's just a problem for execution. But yeah, I mean, they didn't look like getting out.
Interestingly, the 6 that Rohit Sharma was trying to hit, if he had succeeded, he would have become the most prolific 6 hitter in one-day cricket for India. He's now level on 215 with MSD.
He's got enough time now to keep completing these records, but he makes it look very easy, isn't it? Like bowling a really quick bowler, bowling around the wicket, trying all sorts of things, and he just in different zone. You know, he was figuring out what are my options and what more things I can add if someone is going to use this kind of tactic, and he was trying to stamp his authority there, and he did with that magnificent 6 over square leg. He's just phenomenal to watch. Like, you know, when you see him bat, the kind of time he has, the kind of elegance which he has, like in the cricket fraternity or the fans who are watching, you know, it's they always want to have this pleasing on the eyes vision, you know, when you're watching him bat.
Both of them are so pleasing on the eyes. Don't forget, Dhawan is getting you off to starts as well. He's not probably gone and got a 80, 90 himself, but he's giving you starts too. And the bowler's got man of the match. Mohammad Shami has got man of the match.
Deservedly so. We had a little chat here, and we sort of said that both Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli have contributed to a chase. But once again, like in the first match, it was Shami who set it up, not necessarily because of a lethal, massive spell, but key wickets at key times, most importantly, Ross Taylor.
It was a tough one to give. You know? No one player had done anything outstanding, but it had to go to a bowler because India showed how easy batting was.
Fair call in the end. I'm not because of your biased perspective on that, but I think
biased perspective straight
in a good way. In a good way. Why not? No. Bias is not always a bad thing.
Look, if someone getting 100, it's a milestone. Should have got the man of the match, yes. But Shami had impact on the game throughout those 50 overs. You know, when he bowled that first spell, New Zealand openers today were looking to be aggressive, you know, and he provided that breakthrough, which kind of put the brakes on the way they were going. You know, if in this kind of scenario, when the batsman is in this mindset that I'm just going to go out there and throw my bat at everything and see if it works, sometimes it works, and when it works, it looks good. But credit to Shami, you know, the way he's bowling with his line and lines has been spot on. So created that pressure on the New Zealand batsman. When he was brought back in the middle overs, he had impact on the game there, yes. And the crucial wicket of Ross Taylor, who had worked very hard today to get this New Zealand team going. So you know, the special effort also had to be ended in the nervous 90s with a good delivery. You know, you look at his dismissals has always been either bowled right throughout the series and caught behind.
You know what I think? We're talking about giving the batsmen chances to earn their spots in the World Cup squad. So Raidu today, Karthik today. I wonder if India will start thinking about the bowling slots now. I think there's only one slot available in that Indian team for the World Cup, and that is the backup seamer. And I don't know whether they want to go back to Umesh Yadav, whether they want to look at Siraj, whether they want to look at Khalil. But I wonder if in the remaining 2 games, one of Bhuvi or Shami, I think Shami, because Bhuvi needs to bowl, you think they'll start giving a Siraj or a Khalil another opportunity to...
Well, if they're considering Hardik Pandya to bowl 10 overs and full quota of overs in each and every game, and if he's able to do that consistently, then they might go in with Hardik as fourth seamer option. You know, that actually creates one more slot which you can choose from in terms of having that batting backup. You know, I'm sure there are going to be 2 wicketkeeper batsmen and 4 seamers for sure. It's just that whether you look at Hardik as your fourth seamer or you want a specialist fourth seamer is going to be the main discussion.
Well, we'll come to the bowlers. Just another quick word. Virat Kohli, when post the match, has said, obviously, perhaps it's a hint. Shubman Gill observed him batting in the nets, and he said, I wasn't 10% of that when I was 19 years old. Exciting talent as he goes to take a break. So maybe that's the thinking. They've already had a chat. We could see him coming into the 11.
Throw the kid in at number 3. Throw the kid in at number 3. Unless the thinking is, look, Raidu's not going to get number 3. Raidu's going to be number 4 anyway. So let's throw Shubman Gill in, and who knows what you get, because the buzz on the circuit, and these are people who've played with him. I heard Yuvi say that. I heard Yuvraj say that this kid is special. I've heard Dinesh Karthik say that this kid is just something else. He's going to be special. I've heard Ashwin say that this kid is special. So if everyone thinks that way, throw him in. You never know. You never know what you'll get. So yeah, him for 3. So who doesn't get a game? And then you play this side again.
Yeah.
But what if MS comes back then?
Yeah, but I think the very fact that you had an indication today with Dinesh Karthik being sent ahead of Kedar Jadhav, and that's a clear move to say that, okay, he needs time in the middle, let's give him time in the middle. So obviously what's going to happen in the next 2 ODIs is an indication that they've talked about it, as well as Kohli mentioning it post-match. There's no other reason for him to just suddenly
Look, if MS comes back, you have to play Kedar Jadhav. Because he's bowled quite well, actually, to be honest. And even with those 3 overs, he's bowled quite well. So you have to play Kedar Jadhav. So are you going to look at between Raidu and Karthik for one slot for the next game? I don't know. It'll be a tricky one.
And it will be interesting to see how they go about in terms of bowling lineup as well. Shami has been playing pretty much most of the test matches and one days. So that's something which maybe give.
Khalil is the one who hasn't got a look in yet.
Yeah, he played both Siraj and Khalil have played 1 game each in Australia.
What about the wrist spinners? You think that Ravindra Jadeja might get a game in place of one of the spinners? Maybe Kuldeep might rest for the remainder of the 2 games.
I won't be surprised.
Yeah.
I won't be surprised.
Lots of possible options. So again, if Shami has indeed booked his place, could it be a situation of weighing up whether he needs more of match practice, more of match fitness in a sense, or perhaps a bit of a break? Let's just sum up just the reason why we are saying that the start of 2019 has got himself a spot there. 6 matches, 12 wickets, best of 3 for 19. I think those numbers really talk about it. Apart from the numbers, you had to have seen the performances, you had to have seen the times when he bowled, the starts that he gave. Those 2 wickets we keep mentioning at the top in those first 10 overs. And of course, today bowling in different stages. He was due to bowl 4 overs at the death. Didn't need to bowl his 4th over today, but he was slotted to bowl 4 overs at the death, which, as you said, he's adapting to.
Absolutely, and because Virat had the luxury as well today, he believed in Hardik giving him 10 overs, so that created more options. And as far as Shami is concerned, every time you look at him, the basics are so strong. He's got that nice high arm action. The seam is absolutely straight. So it's just about getting that ball in the right areas. And when you're playing so much of Test match cricket and you're in such a good rhythm, he's bowling that heavy ball as well.
He doesn't
so
bowl.
That is always going to be
different.
You don't have to.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. He hardly bowls this. I'll be checking out his Yorker though. How is he going in the Yorker? But it's very interesting that he doesn't bowl this at all.
Well, stick to your strengths.
Correct.
That's the mantra.
Stick to your strengths. But as far as this series is concerned, all the strengths have been pretty much on the Indian side. Now remember, let's remind you, the New Zealand team has announced their squad only for the first 3 ODIs. They have not mentioned their squad for the next 2 yet. So we're not going to really speculate much on that. We know names like Tim Seifert, who kept wickets against Sri Lanka, has been thrown up as a possible inclusion, even playing as a batsman. But we're not going to talk too much about who might come in. But in terms of who might go out from this current squad, who would you look at perhaps either resting or replacing?
I think Nichols at number 6 is under threat. Because if they're a bowler short, then they've got to have someone in the top 6 who's bowling, and they don't have that. So maybe Nichols' position is under threat. I don't know if Grandom is good enough to bat at 6. He should be. Bats in Test match cricket at number 7, so he should be able to bat at 6. So maybe that position is up. Colin Munro's position is up. Doug Bracewell is not pulling his weight as a bowler. So Doug Bracewell is the 5th bowler, really, to me, in that side. So maybe they'll give Southee a go at some point. So I mean, the rest they've had 2 or 3 bad games, but they've been winning before that. I see those 2-3 as possible.
One more possibility, and we know that he's been rested, and he's probably a certainty is Jimmy Neesham.
Yeah. But is he fit? Is he ready to come back?
Adam Milne is another possible option, just to strengthen that bowling. Maybe Doug Bracewell might go out and they might play with 3 genuine quicks. That's also one of the possibilities. Apart from that, when you have such a series and you're down and out completely and you've already lost the series, sometimes it's good to just bring in fresh energy in the side, bring in some new faces, because they'll always come in with a clear mindset. Right now, all the squad which they have, which have played these 3 matches, will be carrying a lot of baggage. And that's something which selectors or team management can think of and just go in that direction, because it doesn't matter. You need to find find possible strategies going in the World Cup as well, and this kind of series, when you're playing against India in the World Cup, you'll always be on the back foot. So, the best way of dealing with this is just bring in some fresh faces, fresh energy in the squad and see how things turn up.
And for New Zealand, after they finish with the 2 ODIs and the 3 T20Is, they've also got the menacing prospect of Bangladesh coming to visit.
Are you just ensuring that you don't get any more work in Bangladesh then?
I was waiting for a reaction. I thought I would get something out of you.
But they will. I mean, they beat Sri Lanka quite easily, and I'll be surprised if in these conditions they don't put it past Bangladesh easily. But this will have wounded New Zealand. There's no doubt. New Zealand, in the eyes of many, New Zealand were semi-final contenders at the World Cup. But this performance will have wounded their thoughts, and it'll have hurt them going into the World Cup. I mean, we keep talking the World Cup is 4 months away. Yeah. So there's still time before the World Cup to regroup and whatever. But the ease with which they've been brushed aside will send ripples in that New Zealand planning setup.
Certainly has, but I can tell you Bangladesh has some new exciting young players thanks to the league coming up.
This is the comeback line. This is the comeback line. I still like Bangladesh cricket, please. I said nice things about Bangladesh.
And if you remember that gigantic partnership that they had in the test match, well, the Bangladeshis still remember that. Okay,
they're good side. They're good side. I'd like to see how Fizz bowls over there. They've pulled him out of the IPL to be able to bowl there. He's a good bowler. Mashrafi is a good bowler. They're not a bad side, but if they trouble New Zealand are in a lot of trouble.
Yep, he was man of the match in the last outing in the league. But
Mashrafi?
Yeah, no, Fizz.
Okay, Mashrafi is probably going to be a minister at some point, right?
Yes, he is.
I don't know, maybe.
if he can get his ministerial clothes over all the regrouping and reconstruction he's had on his legs.
Yeah.
He keeps talking about that. But let's actually look at the other little quiz that we put to you, Joy Factor. And as we said, we hoped we're not going to have a hat-trick from one person. We haven't blocked him, but we can promise you that there were a lot of people who were giving you the answer. And again, one thing that will please us in the studio is that many people keep an eye on domestic cricket, and that's the way we want it to be. We want you to follow every level of the game, and let's first remind you of what the question was on today's Joy Factor. Primarily known in the IPL as a crafty bowler, which versatile cricketer has topped the Ranji Trophy batting averages this year with an average of 175, whopping from 8 matches and 7 innings.
I told you crafty was the word. Crafty bowler was the word. Delhi boy.
Well, let's go quickly and find out the answer. And yes, when you think of crafty, it is Rajat Bhatia. And interestingly, when you talk about a lot of these professionals going to play in different, slightly smaller states, and that I think is an indication of that for Uttarakhand, played for the Delhi Daredevils, KKR, RR, and the rising Pune Super Giants in the IPL.
I remember I was on air once when Rajat Bhatia was bowling, and someone said he's bowled a slower ball. And I said, slower than what? Because he bowled slow, slower, and slowest. And actually, somebody asked me, the ball that's coming at the batsman, is it this ball or is the previous one still on its way? And that's why I like the word crafty. He reinvented himself. I'm sure at one time must have been quicker, but just everyone knows what he's going to bowl, and still he was that good for KKR. I mean, he's played everywhere, but I remember him as KKR player.
They used to say that very, very cheekily about Madan Lal in the 80s.
That everybody towards the end of their career.
He could actually go and face his own ball if he wanted to, but
that was mean, yeah.
That was a little harsh. And once he
I'm not saying anything.
Once he picked up the World Cup trophy, I think a lot of people let that go.
He was a selector. He picked me.
There you go.
Look, it doesn't matter when the ball reaches the bat. If you can get the batsman out, you've got him out.
Absolutely. So just to sum things up,
Rajat Bhatia, good answer.
Let's first find the winner.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's first find the winner before we sum up everything here on Cricbuzz Live. And our winner here is Sharat Shetty, and I suspect that's also a name we've seen from before. We've got some of the regulars who pound us with some of the great answers at Sharat 1819.
Basically, they're telling Joy set us a tougher one. Let's put pressure on Joy as well. Come on, Joy, come up with one. Come up with one for the fourth game that's a bit tougher than the opposition New Zealand's providing.
Absolutely. I think
Give him a tough question.
Absolutely. That's certainly an indication. But yeah, that's the way we can sum this up. I mean, we really didn't expect the series to finish in Mount Maunganui. New Zealand certainly wouldn't have wanted to. But that, as you said, is a gulf between these two teams, not on paper, on the field.
Big gulf, as big as a gulf between Australia and New Zealand. The ditch, as big as that. Look at that. 8 wickets, 90 runs, 7 wickets. But I'd like to see whether India go ahead and make it 5-0.
Yeah,
that
will be a big achievement.
Yeah. India should want to make it 5-0.
And I think one of the factors that you never see on just a mini scorecard is the number of overs to spare, not just in terms of how many overs they didn't bat, but how many overs they didn't need to bowl because of the fact that the opposition went and ran the game. So the game's fallen short by about an hour every single day, only because India have been so convincing.
Yeah, and New Zealand, to be fair, right now, looking that they might be able to put up some good show in the last two ODIs because of the partnership also today. Kane Williamson so far has not been contributing that much. So if he comes to the party, Ross Taylor good form, puts up those runs. Probably Adam Milne comes back in the side, have a good bowling lineup, gets those early breakthroughs. Trent Bolt has been superb right throughout the series. It's just that he's not been getting that much of support. So things can come together. Bit too late, but I think I have a feeling that last two matches maybe New Zealand will see a better outing in the last couple of matches.
Just open. Maybe Williamson just open.
Yeah,
maybe. Just go and open.
Because
Why wait for a wicket to fall?
If you want to approach conservatively and use those first 10 overs to have a very steady, solid start, I think they need to change the openers then. Maybe bring in some test match kind of a opener, who is going to be playing the ball on merit of the delivery.
Then good old Jeet Rawal. I think Jeet Rawal, you played cricket with Parthiv Patel, didn't he? Parthiv was saying I think Jeet Rawal might have played cricket with Parthiv Patel in India. So send out Jeet Rawal.
Well,
what happened to that other guy?
He's still their current test opener.
Yeah. What happened to that other guy? Glenn Phillips? You were talking about?
Well, Glenn Phillips, they kind of
he goes to the CPL and he tonks the ball everywhere.
He got 100. He got a really good 100. But I think they're still, and he's very keen.
And he's a keeper, isn't he?
He's a wicket keeper, an exciting batsman.
So Latham can open the batting and he can come in and keep wickets.
But they still feel, I think, that he's more of a T20 player. But that's that gap that they need to fill.
If you're batting at 5-6, how does it matter? I don't know. It's easy. The easiest thing in the world is to pick a team that you don't have to pick. Pick a team for somebody else is the easiest thing in the world. That's why we all play fantasy league.
Well, the final number I'll throw at you, and it's not a fantasy number. We should have had 300 overs bowled over the course of these games, and it's not really been affected by the weather, except for 1 over lost thanks to the sun. Yeah. So out of a total possible of 300 overs, 1 lost for sun, 254 have been played, and that's only an indication of the difference between India and New Zealand.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah,
that's 20 overs per game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's an amazing number. Yeah.
Almost, right? 54. 54 is 254.
So 46, yeah.
46
overs short in 3 games, 15 overs short per game.
Yeah. That's probably the number that sums up the reason why India are 3-0 up. Thank you, gentlemen. Maybe next time around we'll be here for another hour. Not that we're complaining about...
We're done with Mount Maunganui, aren't we? We're done with Mount Maunganui.
We're done Hamilton. Mount Maunganui, we're off to the mainland in a sense, but...
By the Bombay Hills.
New Zealand.
I haven't been to New Zealand for a while, but you drive down to Auckland to Hamilton and you pass the Bombay Hills, don't you?
Yeah, well, there are lots of places like that. The first suburb that you leave when you leave Wellington is Khandala.
Serious?
Yes.
Really? Yeah, there's lots of these Indian names around there.
And the main street in Khandala is called Gavaskar Place.
There you go.
There you go.
There must have been some soldiers from here who had gone there and a set of names over there.
Anyway, for the moment, we're going to be heading back to the mainland, but you're never far from the maritime influence in New Zealand. They'll just hope that they can get some kind of positive influence to take the next one to the distance. 2 ODIs to go. New Zealand will be hoping to make it 3-2. India very keen to make it 5-0, and perhaps we'll see the likes of Shubman Gill pushing for that one final slot for 2019. Final time to say thank you to Harsha Bhogle, thank you to Zaheer Khan. We'll see you all bright and early in 3 days' time on the 31st at 7:05 in the morning. Until then, from the entire team at Cricbuzz Live, it's goodbye.